Right, this is Linton the Swarm Vassal, Bellator light heavyweight contender, and you're watching the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show.
Gregory Stone, MMAcrypt.com. On today's show, we're speaking with Hot Rod. No, not Roddy Piper from the WWF, WWE. No, it's Brandon Hempleman from World Series of Fighting. Brandon is set to headline Front Street Fights 4 against UFC veteran Steven Siler this coming Thursday in Boise, Idaho. With that, welcome to the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show, Brandon.
Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, Brandon. Okay, Brandon, before we talk about your upcoming fight with Steven Siler, I want to talk about the rough 2013, rough 2014 couple of years that you had, especially in terms of finding fights anyway. It seems that you've already sort of started off 2015 the same way. Aside from Front Street Fights, stepping up and finding you this fight with Steven Siler, you've had a pretty hard time the past couple of years in finding fights. Could you explain to us why you've had such a hard time in getting fights?
Basically, I signed a contract that, well, first off, I went through the Ultimate Fighter tryouts. They said I made the show and went through some complications there because of some past troubles on my record that are now getting taken care of finally, as when I was a juvenile.
Yeah.
And besides that, I signed with World Series of Fighting after the UFC cut me off the show because of the producers on Fox. And World Series, I don't know what their deal is. They just don't seem to keep me or a lot of their other guys very busy. And they're finally letting me fight outside of the organization, which is why I'm getting this fight now.
You say they're finally letting you fight outside the organisation. Have you been trying to push for a fight outside of World Series of Fighting for a long time now?
Yeah. I've had a lot of offers to go fight other places. Namely, I've had a lot of pro boxing fights I've tried to take, and they haven't been very receptive to that until now.
Okay. Will they agree to boxing fights in the future? Just tell us how the talks have gone. Just how many offers have you had? You said you've had a good few offers to fight outside of World Series. Have they declined all the fights, first and foremost, that you put forward?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
So you've had a few boxing offers, you've had a few offers from MMA organisations in the past,
and
you took them to World Series of Fighting, I assume, and they've said what? No.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the point where we could talk specifics with them before. They just basically said that I was exclusive in contract with them, and then they were going to get me their fights, and then those fights just never materialized.
Wow.
I'd get opponents and get fight offers every once in a while, and then for one reason or another, the opponent would fall off, and I'd be in the middle of camp, and then I wouldn't have an opponent.
Could you give us a rough estimate of how many offers you've actually took to World Series of Fighting in terms of fight offers?
Yes, outside the organization, I passed up at least a dozen offers to fight. And inside the organization, I have had, first I had Pablo Alfonso fall off. It's not a ton of offers I've had. I had Pablo Alfonso fall off on me, then Andrew Yates, and then the first fight with Alexis Villa. And then I finally got a fight with Villa. And now I haven't heard anything, so I don't know when my next fight will be for them either.
Well, you mentioned you was removed from the Ultimate Fighter. Could you clarify which season that was for, please?
Season 18. Yeah, I was down there in Vegas waiting for the fight into the house. Actually, the season that Josh Hill was on, and Cody Bollinger, and a lot of other guys. And I was down there waiting for the fight into the house, and then they gave me a call and said that because of the past stuff and being a college season, I had some drug charges from when I was 17, and I got a DUI back then, and they said I had too much on my record, so that the producers on Fox kind of ixnayed me there. So,
where do you stand with World Series of Fighting at the minute? Obviously, you're saying that they can't find you a fight. They've not been very receptive in the past in terms of fight offers. Finally, they've let you fight outside the organisation with Front Street Fights. Where do you stand after this fight at Front Street Fights with World Series of Fighting?
Where do I stand?
Yeah, in your opinion.
I think this is a bigger fight than any of the fights that World Series has for me at this point.
Yeah.
And that's why I took it against Steven, is that I know he's a big name, and he's something that'll get my name back in the limelight a little bit. I've had some big fights with World Series, fighting last was Alexis, and before that their champion Marlon. And then in between then I haven't been able to do anything to keep my momentum going. So this is a good opportunity for me to actually get my name back in the mix and get back into contention. Hopefully, get bigger fights that are televised.
Now, obviously, Front Street Fights, it's a local show in your area. Would you like to fight for them as much as possible in the future? Obviously, stay contracted towards the fighting, but also fight with Front Street Fights as well.
That would be that's the ideal thing for me right now. Building a little bit more of my namesake here at home would be nice. I mean, it's a lot of pressure fighting at home, but I also take a lot of pride in building the sport here in my area, and it's a way for me to get my name built up for the future. And I plan on coaching and doing all that stuff later on after I retire, and it's gonna help me with that a great deal.
For the listeners who don't understand the importance of the questions I'm asking you now, especially in terms of the last rough couple of years, because I've only got you down as fighting 2 times in 2 years, could you explain to the listeners just how important it is for a fighter to keep fighting and to stay active?
Oh, yeah, that's how we make our living, and especially if we want to compete at this level, we have to be training continuously, and that means a lot of injuries. It means not being able to take regular employment in these, like, manual labor jobs. So, I've had to stay in camps and been paying for these camps that have fights that have fallen through just to stay at the level that I'm at, and not having fights at the end of them means that I don't have any money. I live a very meager lifestyle.
Well, let's talk about Steven Siler. Obviously, he's a big, high-profile name floating around the free agent scene. Could you tell us how this bout came to be with you and Steven? Obviously, he's a featherweight fighter too.
Yeah, he's dropping down to bantamweight for the first time. He just fought his last fight outside of the UFC was for Titan Fighting Championships. He fought down in Florida against Desmond Green. He's a real tough guy, and it was a title fight at 145, and he got outpowered in that fight. So he's gonna, venture down and try his luck with me, and he's gonna run into, maybe not as much power, but he's definitely gonna have to deal with a speed advantage. So this fight happened because I had 4 opponents that fell out for injuries and various reasons in the build-up to this, and then Steven's name came up, and he was having the same problems down there in Utah, wanting to get back on the horse, wanting to bounce back. So it's the perfect fight for both of us right now to, get our momentum built back up.
Well, you mentioned Steven's dropping down in weight. Will he have a considerable size and reach advantage on you in the fight, Brandon?
Actually, Alexis Villa was only 5'3", but he had a 72-inch reach.
Yeah.
I have a 67-inch reach. Siler is 5'11", so he'll have, and he's a lot thicker than I am, but he only has a 70-inch reach. So it's not like a huge reach advantage. It is an advantage, but I think the weight cut and things like that are going to negate that size advantage. I think I'll be a little crisper on fight night.
Obviously, this is going to be his first time down, I believe anyway. Don't quote me on that. But do you think, obviously, coming down for the first time in a different weight class, is it always going to be a hard cut, do you think?
I don't think it'll affect him too much. I mean, he just had the title fight, so he got ready for 5 rounds at 145. He probably didn't put a whole lot of weight back on. I think that was only 3 or 4 weeks ago. So he probably was already down, a little bit more than usual. I know when I fought McVeigh over there in Glasgow, I had just fought at 35 2 weeks before that, so it made it a lot easier for me to cut down to the weight of 130 because I didn't put all the weight back on. So I think that's exactly what's going to go on. Is he's been conditioning for this for some time now.
Well,
and
Steven...
coincidentally, the guy that I fought, was a guy that Siler, before I fought Paul. McVeigh was a guy Steven fought 4 times, and I beat him in split decision. It was a tough fight, but he's beaten Steven 3 out of the 4 times they faced.
Well, Steven is he's on a 4-fight losing streak. Does that make him more dangerous in your opinion, or do you think you can sort of catch him in the middle of a bad run?
Oh, he's not sleeping at all. He lost 4 fights, but they're against some of the best in the world. I think it's just made him hungrier. He's got a lot of big wins on his record, so he's a gamer, and he's going to be coming to get his momentum back, and he's a guy that's going to come straight at you. So, no, I don't expect to catch him sleeping at all, and he better not expect to catch me there either.
Well, we know Steven, he's got some nasty Muay Thai, especially in the clinch. Is the clinch game something you would like to avoid in the fight with Steven? Or do you feel like you've got the skills to hang with him in the clinch?
I've been paying attention to his knees up the middle. It seems like that's where he's good, is in the clinch. on the outside. I know he's got a real long jab, so I'm going to try to avoid his jab, try to avoid the clinch. I think we match up well everywhere, and I've got answers for anything he's going to throw at me, but I'm definitely going to try to not play into his strengths there.
Well, we've already noted that Steven's got a potential size advantage on you. Steven's also a very durable fighter, hard to put away. Not to mention he can turn the tide of a fight or end a fight in a split second. We've seen it in the past from him. Just what is the key to beating Steven Siler, in your opinion?
Staying with his chokes. I think he's got a real long jab, and he's got pretty decent kicks. He lulls you to sleep a little bit every once in a while. He keeps the pressure on you, but it's not too overwhelming. So I definitely got to keep my hands up, not get a little too cocky, and I got to stay away from, like you said, the clinch. And in his takedowns, they're not very orthodox. He's going to change angles real fast. He changes levels and angles really well, for being a 5'11" fighter. So I'm gonna be really watching and trying to control the distance.
Is there a message you'd like to leave for Steven, or any of the fans who will be travelling to CenturyLink Arena in Boise this coming Thursday?
Just that I'm coming to put on a show. I mean, above all, I'm a fighter. I'm not going out there to win decisions. I'm going out there to put on a fight and to be entertaining. So you definitely show up, support us, and we will fight our asses off for you.
And if there's anyone listening who would like to catch a fight with Steven Siler at Front Street Fights 4, where can they purchase tickets for the event, Brandon?
CenturyLinkArena.com. It's in Boise, Idaho. You could order tickets. If you do, order them through my name, just the capital letter Brandon, and then you could type in the different levels you want, either lower level, upper level, or I think the floor seats are already sold out. So I'd like to see that. I want a packed house. It's a big thing for our state, and especially for Boise and Twin Falls, where I'm from. So we want to put on a real good show for the fans. So come out and support us.
To wrap up the interview, thanks, sponsors, mentions. Fire away there, Brandon.
First off, I'd like to thank Virus and Tagatu. Virus, they provide me with my fight shorts and all my training equipment, all my rash guards and things of that nature. Tagatu's my lifestyle brand. Make sure I don't look like a total bum when I'm out, out and about. Then Garden Life, making sure I stay fit and healthy. They got their plant-based proteins and all their vitamins I take. Warrior Fuel with their BCAAs and their pre-workouts, keep me going. Grip mouth guards for making sure all my teeth stay in my head. My trainers with Sclavos MMA, E2 Elite TP, and Team Mitch Coach with Alliance Jiu-Jitsu, as well as my management team with Fight Pass Consulting.
Okay, from the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show, as always, thank you for watching.